Newschannel 3 presents our Back to School 2019 Teacher Town Hall discussion with your host, Laura Painter.
Hi, good evening everyone on Facebook Live. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Laura Painter. You know that school year is just around the corner and we are here to help you get ready, and to do just that we have a panel of local teachers who are joining us today for our Teacher Town Hall. They are here to answer all of your questions. First, we want to get to know you a little bit here. Introduce yourselves. We have Courtney.
I'm Courtney Shorter. I teach 7th grade science at Northwestern Middle School, Battle Creek Public Schools.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, my name is Sharice Ward. I teach 1st grade at Arcadia Elementary School in Kalamazoo Public Schools.
And I'm Katie McDonald. I teach high school science at Schoolcraft Community Schools.
We love that. So we have a wide range of ages here, grades, discipline. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. You know, this is the time of year when you get a lot of questions from parents, probably even your neighbors and things like that, right? Because you guys are the go-to for everything that we need to know to get our kids ready for school, right? No matter what age they are. So we'd like to ask, and we'll just make this conversational here, what should students expect for the new school year? It's very different than when we went to school, certainly. So we'll start with Courtney. What are some of those expectations?
Well, right now, Battle Creek is doing great things, so there's so many things to list for our students to expect. I would definitely say smiling faces and eager teachers. A lot of teachers go to professional development during the summer and learn new strategies. I recently just went to Detroit to the PLC Institute, which is the Professional Learning Communities. So I have some new strategies and things that I want to try out in my classroom.
Very nice. So you guys are learning during the summer as well.
100%. Absolutely.
Cool. Katie, what can your students
Yeah,
expect?
very similar in Schoolcraft. We've been really pushing our teachers to kind of extend their learning and kind of think outside what normal school kind of has looked like. I know Schoolcraft has really been working on sending their teachers to stuff like Teacher Stock this summer. We've been working on project-based learning and standards-based grading over the summer. So what kids can kind of expect is it's going to look a little different than what they're used to, but to have them expect student-focused learning, cooperation, collaboration, and really creative assessments that are going to be more project-based that kind of get them ready for the real world.
Right, and you teach the high school level.
I do,
so
yes I do.
These are some different techniques and tactics you are learning as well?
Yes, so one of the big things we've been working on is project-based learning. So normally when you are learning something, it's always that big test at the end of the unit where it's, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to pick, is it A, is it B, is it C, or is it D? This time it's going to be more so project-based. One of the things I did this past school year was my students had to create a public service announcement about bird migration. So we worked with the mill in Vicksburg because they were going to put up a tower to kind of track that. So the kids got to see something outside the community, but then it also allowed them to make a project that wasn't just a test for me to see if they knew what they were knowing. So,
right,
yeah.
Thanks. And then Sharice, you teach the young ones, very little ones, and what can they expect?
Yeah, so we have a very diverse environment at our schools, not only in my school, but throughout the Kalamazoo Public School system. So our students come, you know, with smiling faces. We have new teachers and principals. In fact, my school has a new principal starting this year, Miss Megan Timmons. And we also will soon have a new superintendent. So students can be looking forward to seeing new faces. When we start off our school year, we always have visitors from around the district who come in and greet the students on their first day. So they may have the superintendent or assistant superintendent in their building, or you know, those who work in the ad building, they come in and they actually greet the students with handshakes and smiles and warm hugs. Just those things that make our students feel very comfortable.
Right, and that's a big deal for especially the little ones, right? Because it's their maybe their second year of school if they've done kindergarten, right? Having that familiar face is very important, right? Nice. Anything you want to add to that as far as that comfort level? I think Sharice touched upon a really good point of making students feel comfortable.
Oh, I think it's important across, you know, from little all the way to high school. I know that Battle Creek Public Schools strives to do trauma-informed learning and education. We just, we're pushing out a handbook this year for strategies, Tier 1 strategies for teachers to use when the kids might be having a stomach ache or a headache. Those are signs of anxiety and maybe some things that are going on at home that we can help. And so we want families to know that we're here to help them.
Right. Good to know. So definitely a welcoming place for students that teachers like you are trying to create, and then also ways to help with their family life. If there's any way that you guys can help boost that and make a safe home for them as well, right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you, ladies. Let's move on to our next question. What do teachers want parents to know about your plans or parental involvement for the school year? You kind of touched upon it, Courtney, a little bit there, but what would you want the parents to know? We'll start with Katie.
I think what we want the parents to know is that because it might look a little different, the kids aren't going to leave not knowing what we want them to know. That it may seem a little strange to be creating projects, but we want parents to feel like they can come into the classroom and see what we're learning and definitely communicate with us, you know, any concerns that they have or any feedback they may have for us about how we're doing things. But that communication, I think, with parents is really important to build a community with parents and other teachers and the students to really make them feel comfortable about their learning and really informed about what we're doing.
Is that a little harder when the students are older, when they're teenagers, they can drive, they have jobs, they're getting ready for college? What do you think, Katie?
They definitely want their parents not to know what's going on a little more. I think it's just because they've grown up with so much social media and contact, they feel a little bit more adult, I think, feeling that they can drive and do all that stuff. But we still want parents to come in and feel like they can be a part of their learning because they're not done yet. They're still learning and they're still trying to get ready for the real world that, you know, for high schoolers is right around the corner. So we have things like Google Classroom, Remind, newsletters, and things that parents still will get and have to be able to still get that communication that I feel at the younger levels they probably feel they get a little bit more.
Right, so even though they're nearly adults, we still want those
Oh,
adults
for sure.
involved,
Yeah,
right?
yep, absolutely. They're one of our greatest resources.
Right, and then Charisse, for those really young ones who are probably, maybe some of them are excited, or maybe some of them are crying. It's new for them to go to school,
Yes,
right? Who is this
yes.
lady? Who are these adults? We don't know them.
And they love for their parents to come to school. They absolutely love it. So I really push parent involvement. I love having parents help out in the classroom. Sometimes parents work throughout the day just like I do, so they can't come in throughout the day. So I would have take-home projects for them to do, or find a time in the evening for them to do an activity, or make sure that I connect with them. I have a class dojo that a lot of teachers are familiar with, and it's a way, it's pretty much like texting. So it's a way that the parents can text the teacher any time of the day, and then when the teacher's available, the teacher can text back, and then likewise for the parent. So it's a great way, a great tool for communication back and forth. So I think it's very important in the beginning of the year is when our administrators and principals tell us, please reach out to the families, talk, you know, of course in high school there's so many parents, so, but for my classroom I wouldn't have more than 28, between 18 and 28 students, so within time I can contact each parent, and I make a absolutely effort, a very great effort to reach every parent that I can, and I just think, and if I can't reach them, I find another way. If I can't reach them on the phone, so that's how Class Dojo really comes in handy, because sometimes parents can't answer the phone throughout the day, they're at work, so just making that connection. And like I said, the students love when their parents come in, or bring a treat, or come in and help pass out papers. Any small thing is really a big thing for us teachers, because we appreciate the helping hands.
That's great. And then when they are so young, do you think that that helps set maybe a standard or a connection for later on as the student goes into their
Absolutely.
education, right?
Absolutely,
So this could set a foundation, possibly?
Yes.
Awesome, good to know. And then you're that next step, that in-between years, the middle school years. I mean, we love them, but they can be a bit bumpy. So how important is that parent involvement?
They need to, attendance. Attendance is very important, and that's is when they decide that maybe they don't want to go to school, or they do want to go to school. But it's very important that kids are there every day, on time. Parents are not scheduling appointments during the school day. They're doing that after the school time, because just one day they could be behind, you know, and it's very hard for the kids to get caught up just missing one day of school.
Right.
So I would say that just parents encouraging kids to go, that kind of leads right into that social emotional thing. If they're not wanting to go because of a stomach ache, there might be something more going on, and right there is the parent involvement, you know, find out what's going on, talk to the school, and make sure they're there.
Right.
I mean, they can't learn and be successful if they're not there.
Exactly. And then because of middle school, that preteen, early teens, setting that up, you know, that attendance and that parental involvement, continuing that in that transition time, right, between the elementary and high school. Would you say in your realm of experience that that's really a turning point for some families?
It is, and right now we are making an effort to have smaller groups for advisory type so we can make those phone calls. So it's not a large 130 phone calls. We're calling 15 parents and keeping a close contact just with a smaller portion. Also, we have a parent university, which helps parents with personal goals, how to help their student. That's starting this year. It's one of from the WK Foundation grant that they're starting this year. So battlecreekpublicschools.org.
Nice. I'm sensing with this then parental involvement is very important regardless of the year that your child may be entering, what grade they might be entering, right? So we kind of carry it through, maybe build it through the early years, keep it going, keep the momentum going through the middle school years, and even though they're almost adults, keep it up, right?
Absolutely.
All right, ladies, thank you. And let's get to the next question here. How can parents help you teachers accomplish that joint goal of getting their kids educated, making them productive adults, successful adults? What would you say? Let's start off with Sharice.
Well, previously I was a preschool teacher, so I enjoyed teaching that. I enjoyed first grade as well. But I would always tell parents at that level that they are their child's first teacher. Even though I was their, teacher at school, there's so much work that has to be done before they enter the classroom. There's reading every night from the time your child is in your womb, excuse me, until they come to school. And then on from then, they need to read every single day. It's very important. And you start off with reading to them, and then it in turn goes back and forth, and they begin reading to you. That's what I love about first grade is most of them learn how to read in first grade if they don't already as they walk in the door. So that's a big pivotal moment for those students. So parents can read to their students, to their children at home, prepare them with the things that they need for school, making sure they have school supplies. I know that our schools do provide some of those supplies, but it's always nice to have extra supplies because there's a limited budget, as everyone probably knows. So it's nice for those parents who can bring those materials, extra materials when you can, and just the talking to your child every day, talking to them about their feelings, how do they feel about school, who are their friends, and avoid the question, how was school today? Because you'll get a one word answer. Fine, okay. So you have to ask questions. Were there any new students today? Did you make a friend today? Tell me what your favorite game at recess was, or how was lunch? What did you eat for lunch? Who were your friends that you sat to next to lunch? So ask those kind of open-ended questions that don't have a one-word answer, and you'll be able to enter into your child's life, their school life, and see how they're doing in school. And when there are problems that arise, then as the parent, contact the teacher, talk to them, and then that way you can work together as a team to make sure that your child has the ultimate experience in school. So it's really important for parents to have that dialogue with their child at home so that they can in turn, talk to the teacher, because sometimes students will say things at home that they won't necessarily tell their teacher, and vice versa. It could happen where the child will talk to the teacher and not say it at home. So that's where that partnership comes in. So when the parent is comfortable with that communication with the student and with the teacher, it makes a successful student.
That's great. As you were speaking, we were all nodding our heads. There's a lot of concurrence going on here, right? I think, Katie, even in the high school level, what would you want the parents to do? How can they help you?
Well, there's a couple of things. I think one of the things at Schoolcraft that we really are trying to focus on we call them our Eagle skills, but they're the soft skills that aren't necessarily math and science and social studies, but it's time management and problem solving and critically thinking. If your student comes home and goes, man, I have a project due tomorrow and I haven't started it, but I got practice tonight, help them understand, okay, how are you going to do this then? You need to prioritize and think about time management. But I think another aspect is definitely social media safety of when your kids are at home, monitoring what they're doing online and if they're feeling safe and comfortable, and asking them about it and not being afraid to be like, are you okay? Is everything okay? And again, like you said, they may not say anything, or they may say it at school or not at home, but just being aware of what they're doing in the cyber world and how that is affecting them.
Very different than how I believe, probably have grown up, right? For sure. We're getting a lot of good comments here, and I just want to remind everyone out there in Facebook land, out there, to please send us your questions, because these teachers are awesome. They're really, really opening up here and answering a lot of our questions. So please go ahead in the comments down there. Just write us a question, anything that we might not have touched upon with our teachers here. And now I want to get to Courtney here, just kind of riffing off of what these ladies are saying as well. In the middle school perspective, what can parents do to help you in your joint goal of really getting these kids set up for life and educating them and just making well-rounded individuals?
I'm going to say that reading is a very, very big thing. I just wanted to affirm that. But they really need to collaborate with us and work with us. We're there to help them. I know that when I'm making phone calls about attendance and behavior and academics, the parents are very surprised at how we can work together to come up with a plan. They're like, well, they won't do work for me at home. I said, well, I have a plan here in the classroom. We'll figure it out, So I think the collaboration with the tougher middle school years it's key. We need to communicate, we need to collaborate and figure it out.
Awesome. And even as hard as it may seem for the parents to want to reach out, right? You and your fellow teachers are there for all the families and especially the students, right? Awesome. Very, very good. And then some much needed supplies that teachers are always in need of that parents can bring to the classroom to help out. We might have touched upon some of that, but we'll go ahead, Katie. In the high school years, I mean, gosh, we know, like I was in choir and band. I mean, there's always a lot of those supplies.
Oh, yeah.
But there's, so many subjects.
Yeah, and I think we really appreciate anything, Clorox wipes, hand sanitizer, tissues, cold and flu season, but I think we also appreciate any time or volunteering that parents really can support. Whether it's you've got a neat job and you want to share it with the kids, you got a cool experience from real life that you'd like to share with us. I think time and volunteering is a supply that we cannot appreciate enough.
Awesome. That's a good point. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Really. Wow. Yeah. And Courtney, what supplies, how can parents help out in that kind of a way?
I'm going to say time that they, come to their events. Find some time to come in and help, find out what's going on. We supply students with supplies at Battle Creek Public Schools, so really the kids could come and just walk in and be successful. So I would say just send your kids on time, like I said before, get them there, and just, be a part of the school.
Right, that
Figure
commitment
out.
really matters, right?
Yeah.
That's what the kids see. It sounds like they may not necessarily be speaking a lot, maybe to the parents, or they're maybe, if they're quiet at some moments, but they are listening, right? They are listening and seeing the parents being involved, right?
Yeah,
awesome,
absolutely.
great. And then for the first grade level, I mean, kids are learning so many things, and what kind of supplies? How could parents help out in that respect?
Just as Katie mentioned, we could also always use Kleenex and wipes. And we go through tons and tons of Kleenex boxes. So
I said some stories here.
And in the middle of winter, you're wiping down desks. I mean, we spend our lunch hours wiping down the desk because the kids are just sick and we don't want to spread those germs, and it's all the time. So we need those all throughout the year. And also for my little ones, they like to have a snack throughout the day. So I encourage parents to bring in snacks, crackers, just healthy snacks the kids can have in the middle of the day so that they can continue learning and not have a empty stomach while we're teaching. So
this really makes
those
things
are
a little
important
difficult,
too.
doesn't it?
Yes, and also the hands-on, the parents who can come in and things like that. But students always need those things, even pencils. I mean, it seems like a small thing, but throughout the school year, as you get towards the end of the year, those pencils start disappearing. So where are the pencils? We have to have pencils.
Right.
So those are things that we stock up for my school district, for my classroom. We do have a small budget that we have for this school year, and teachers, we penny pinch and use that budget as well as we can. And once that budget is over, then we dig in our pockets and then we buy the supplies, because we don't want our children to be without. So I was just at the store today buying pencils. So when those office, and so I try to talk to parents in the beginning of the year, because that's when all the sales are, the 50-cent crayons and the $1 pencils I just bought. So those are the things that we need all year round. So no matter when time of year you bring them, it's a perfect time, because we will eventually get to them.
All right.
Them,
yep.
so.
Parents, did you hear that?
We need
Catch the
them.
sales.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And so, we had mentioned that obviously we have Facebook viewers here, and they are submitting their questions. So yes, please keep those questions coming. Here's one of them sent in by a parent here. How involved should parents be in doing Homework.
Oh,
That's
boy.
a good one. I'm expecting a lot of different answers here because the homework is so different.
Yes.
First
Yep.
grade,
Yes.
7th, 8th grade to 12th grade.
Right.
Oh my gosh, there was a level where my parents had to stop.
We tag out. We're
Right.
done. We
Yeah,
can't do
they're
this
probably-
anymore.
I don't know. Let's start with the high level stuff here that a lot of parents might not know about, especially maybe certain skills that they were not good at.
Well, and especially when it's that math that comes home and it's like, can you help me with this? Like, I don't remember that from
Yes.
back in the day. But I think definitely parents need to be aware of what kids have for homework. If they are able to help, that's great. But I think they also need to help encourage kids, if they're not getting it or they're not understanding, to contact the teacher. So if it's not that they can help solve the problem or answer the question, I think it's to encourage the students to contact the teacher if they're struggling. So, and with standards-based grading at Schoolcraft, it's whether it's a 2 or a 4, it's more looking for mastery. So again, the parents may not know that, but it's about getting the kids to reach out and get help to get to that mastery level. So.
Right, okay. And then the middle school, Courtney, it's a mixed bag there, I feel, right? What do you
It
think?
is. Homework most of the time is reading, and it's usually things that we send home they can do independently.
Okay.
And if it's too difficult, same thing. They need to call and ask for support. Even ask the older sibling because they probably could help.
There you
Yeah.
go.
That would
I
be a
think
good
I've done
suggestion.
that. Like it's still fresh in my mind 3 years later.
Because they probably did it. You know, they probably did
Yep.
that assignment possibly if it was the same curriculum. So yeah,
Perfect,
that's
cool.
my answer to that.
Nice. And then for the little ones?
And so for my level, the students still have homework that should be a review. So the homework that is sent home is work that they've already done in class. Most of the time it should be, at least in my classroom it is. And typically a student should be able to do it independently. Now there are exceptions to the rule, maybe it's a struggling learner, that would be different. So maybe you would have to give a little bit more support. But I would say for elementary student, if you're just in the area when they're doing their homework, peek over their shoulder, see how they're doing, practice independence. Don't sit there and do all of the work for them because they need to also
Yeah,
practice.
we know, we
right,
know.
we can see the handwriting.
We can tell.
Yes, teachers can tell.
So,
I
yes.
love that.
Even
I hope all
after-
the viewers are looking at this. They know.
Yes.
Teachers know everything.
Yes. So even at the
back
kindergarten and first grade level, still allow them to have that independence in doing their homework on their own. It should be 1 or 2 sheets or reading or whatever the teacher has assigned for that time. Sometimes they do a week worth of homework. Sometimes it's something every day. It shouldn't take a large amount of time. So if it is taking your student a large amount of time, take breaks. Have them work on it a few minutes and then take a break, maybe have a snack, and then come back to that if they're having difficulty.
I like 'em.
So,
I like that tactic.
But-
That works for me.
yes, push the independence.
Awesome. And here's another question from one of our viewers here. What is the best way for parents to brush up on some subjects before the new school year? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Being at home, you have technology. There are many apps and websites. My favorite one for vocabulary and spelling is spellingcity.com.
Oh, okay.
And there are games and things for them to do, help them with their spelling and vocabulary, reading and writing. It kind of just does the whole English language arts part that they need to brush up on.
Oh, very, very cool. Neat. And is there anything that you would like the parents to brush up on too? Or do they need to?
The parents don't need to.
They're good,
They
right?
should just be taking and monitoring. And
Awesome. Cool,
Yeah,
cool,
yeah,
cool,
yeah.
cool.
Yes.
I love that. That makes it easy. Just being there and present, right? Awesome. Anything that you think that the first graders the parents of first graders need to brush up
I
on?
think parents, even though it's elementary school and the math and language arts and spelling or things like that could be really different, don't feel that you have to know everything because you don't as a parent. You don't have to know all of the things that they're learning, but I think it's important to look at, like Courtney was saying, on the online resources. So we have several online resources that we use each year. So if you have a student who's returning and you know the resource they used last year, because there are many of them, then I would suggest through this next couple weeks, maybe just log on, maybe go to the next grade or the next level and introduce that to your child. You don't just have to sit there alone. You can have your child, that would be their time to warm up and brush up on some of their skills, and they can walk you through it. These are things, there's so many tutorials on the websites that could help the students, and you're just there for support. So parents don't feel like you have to know it all.
Good. That's probably a stress reliever right there,
Yes.
right? Just being there and just offering that support. That's awesome.
Yes.
And Katie, I mean, gosh, you teach science. I mean, like, I can't if I were a parent of a high schooler,
Right.
reading my entire chemistry book or something, that's a lot to brush up on. What do you
is a
think?
lot.
Make this easier for us.
Well, and I teach anatomy, so I have
Okay.
kids going home with medical terminology as our first unit, and I know
gosh.
parents are probably like, I don't know what any of this means, but definitely online resources. There's Bozeman Science, there are Quizlet out there where you can do flashcard review, but I think it's being there, being supportive, but also kind of brushing up on what did you do when you were in school to review for things. So what kind of skills did you have? Was it you were good at taking notes? Was it that you were really good at making flashcards? What tools and strategies did you have as a student to kind of help your kid when they're getting to that stuck moment of like, I don't know what this word means. Well, okay, let's break it down and let's make some flashcards. Let's kind of use our tools and resources.
Love that. And speaking of the tools and resources there, how did you know? We're going to segue into this because Heather White asked, do you offer parent portals where the parents can communicate or follow what's going on? And I'm assuming what's going on in the classroom, what's going on in school, on campus. Any resources on that one since you kind of touched upon it?
Absolutely. We have our gradebook system is called Synergy, and we actually have parent portal where they can look and see their students' grades, but also it allows us to email out anything that we want to the parents and they can communicate back. We also have Google Classroom that parents can be added onto that they can look at the different resources. I use Remind, which is a text tool that basically I can send. It's kind of like Twitter where it kind of limits you on how long your message can be, but you can still put it in there, hey, we have homework tonight in this class, so parents can sign up for that and see. So there's a lot of different tools that allow us to communicate out what's going on in the class so parents can see and feel like they're kind of a part of our everyday going on.
Perfect, cool. And then Cherise?
And I do know that Google Classroom is used in the upper grade levels in Kalamazoo Public Schools.
Okay.
I don't personally use it in first grade, but I mentioned earlier, I use Class Dojo to communicate with parents, upcoming assignments or projects, if we have a special project, field trips, things like that, and as well as a newsletter. So in elementary school, we have those weekly or monthly newsletters that go home. So that's what I use for communication as well as the online. So parents feel free to communicate back when they receive those things.
That sounds great. And then Courtney?
We have Skyward, and that's the parent portal where we keep grades and we can send messages and emails and same type of thing. I know that we have a Facebook page that the parents can get on and see what types of events are going on and news that they might want to hear, news they can use possibly.
Perfect.
So yes,
We love that.
technology.
So, yeah, technology is really helping, I think, right?
Yep.
And then here's another question here. What is the biggest struggle for students during the school year and how can they overcome it? We'll start with Courtney. Middle school is a hard
Middle
time.
school, I would definitely say the fact that their peers, the peer pressure going on, they seem to value their peers' opinions more than the adults. And so I think that's the hardest struggle for us as adults to remember they're still children, they're still very vulnerable, they still need our guidance. Even though they're putting on a tough show, and for them it's hard because they want to impress their friends or whoever might be the person that they're looking to impress might not be a person that's positive.
Exactly.
And
how can they overcome all of that?
well, we have some conflict resolution type things that we're doing for Battle Creek Public Schools. We have a success center where kids can go and get help, maybe mediate, maybe they're having a feud with someone, where they can do a mediation with some professionals that are in there. I mean, even with our advisory teachers that each kid has, that y'all have one person that they can go to talk to first. So we actually have tiers of support, and the kids know it before, day 2. They know where to go if they need help. We have a counselor, we have behavioral interventionist. We have all kinds of support for them.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, really that adult network of support, knowing that they have a trusting adult to go to if they have trouble, that's great. And really, teachers, you guys are the front lines for all of this, so that's amazing. And then Katie, for the high school level, touching upon that as well, what are some of the challenges and how can they overcome them?
I think kind of the same thing where it's a lot of that social aspect of being around your peers and having that social media. But I think for high school too, it's that realization that their K-12 experience is going to be over soon, and they've got the SAT, and they've got applying to college, and the stress of, was my test score good enough to get me into this school? What scholarship am I going to get? And I think for us, it's really just letting them know it's okay to feel the stress, but what are you going to do to take care of yourself? Because that's one of the things that we really try to focus on at Schoolcraft is making sure that your own wellness is okay, that you are feeling safe, you're feeling emotionally safe, you're feeling mentally safe. So taking those challenges, but then also addressing what strategies are you going to use to kind of calm yourself down and take care of yourself personally.
Right. Sounds like there's a lot of compassion built into the school day as well, at least trying to teach those messages, right? And then look inward as well, and like, how can I get some help with certain things?
Yes,
right?
and we've been working with restorative practices with Griffin Place, and one of the things we've done in a couple of our classrooms, they're called circles, where you basically, it's about social emotional stuff. It's not content related. It's taking that moment and saying, you know, I've noticed we've been having some weird days in class, let's sit down and talk about it, and giving them that safe place to kind of talk about it.
All right, and then for the first graders here, or the younger students, what are their challenges?
Well, for them, it's stamina. It is making it through the school day.
Oh, goodness.
So usually the first day is a half day, so they can make it through that half day, but that first full day of school is really tough for many students because they're used to being at home, you know, from over the summer and kind of doing, you know, going about the day a little bit differently, not as structured. Right. So by halfway through the day, they're like, is it time to go home? Is it time to go home? So because they're just not used to having that structure all day long, even if they were in summer programs, it's just different from being back at the school. So building that stamina in students in the beginning of the year is something we really work on. We plan for it because we know it's going to happen. So that first week, you put a few games in between your learning activities just to kind of help build that stamina so that by the end of the day, you know, they actually can make it to the end of the day. But by the end of the day, they're ready for a nap. At least my students are. So lots of learning.
How it all kind of comes back around. I feel like adults were kind of like that too.
Exactly.
Is that nap time? Ooh,
time,
okay.
Right, exactly.
Love it. So it seems like the big takeaway is that like every age group, every grade does have challenges. They're just slightly different, right? Very interesting. So this next question might be one of our last ones here, but Ashley Nicole works with Children's Advocacy Program, and she wants to know if the schools do trauma-informed training, and what can those who work with foster children do to help in the classroom? Did I read that correctly? I want to get our producer Megan in my ear. Okay, foster children, correct? So awesome. So if there are children of non-traditional families, what are ways that maybe the parents can help, or how you reach out and help them in their specific, unique situations here that may not be so traditional? Yeah, we'll start with Courtney.
I know that if you're in Battle Creek Public Schools and you're having those difficulties, we are partnered up with Star Commonwealth, and they actually are giving us strategies for our Success Center. So it would definitely be communicating that to us, and we have strategies. Our parent university for Battle Creek Public Schools has a social and emotional class. So that's what, they're very lucky, our parents are. I can't wait. I'm actually a parent, so I'm going to partake in some of these classes. So
very cool. Neat. Thank you for sharing that as well. And Sharice?
And yes, we do have the training in Kalamazoo Public Schools. In fact, we started it, I believe, last year, if not the year before, and then this year the entire district will be trained in trauma for students and things to do. So, and we are also connected with Griffin Place, and there are different, I guess each student's situation is unique. So I would say that if you are a foster parent and you have a student that has a high need, then you probably will be in more contact with a parent, with a teacher. You would be communicating with them by meetings or phones. You may be having meetings. We have team meetings in our building that we have once a month, and that will be for a student who needs just that extra support. That will be what we call a tier 3 student. So there will be a plan developed for your child, so it's not just the same for every student. Each child would be
That is good to know. So it kind of relieves some of that stress as well, even providing more support, right?
Yes.
Awesome. And then Katie as well for the teenagers.
Yeah, and we're doing the same thing. We actually next week during our pre-service week we'll have what we call ACEs training, where we learn the indicators of what we should be looking at in students when we say, okay, they've got this, this, and this, they maybe experienced some trauma at home. So we're definitely it's a big thing in education right now, making sure that kids that are experiencing trauma, we have those resources for them. I know at Schoolcraft we're really working on getting systems of support where we have people in place that if we have a foster family or anything, we have that plan or system, and we're working with the family to figure out what's going to work best for that student to be successful.
Good to know. Collaborative, supportive environment.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Ladies, we have 2 more questions. Here's one here. What is the best way to handle any bullying incidents in the classroom? classroom? Yeah, it's a very good question, a topic on a lot of parents' minds. Katie, you, bullying.
We really just, again, it comes back to communication. If a student feels that they're being bullied, the person that they feel is their adult, their safe adult, they need to communicate it with, and they need to communicate it as quickly as they can so the school can be aware and we can hopefully take care of the problem if it really is a situation. And again, with restorative practices at Schoolcraft, we're really trying to work on if there is an issue between students, trying to get to an understanding, why is the bullying happening, why is this occurring between these two students. So identifying it and then trying to figure out what's going on and then trying to come up with a plan between the two students, or finding that level where they're okay with each other and saying, okay, this isn't acceptable, we're okay, and figuring out
Good to know. Good.
we've solved this problem.
Nice. And then in the middle school years, does that change? Is
No,
that
it's
different?
exactly the same. We definitely need to communicate with all parties involved, and that's part of the restorative process. There's usually a huge misunderstanding. It's coming to a common ground between the two parties involved, and just talking and figuring out, you know, how this person might feel and putting them back in the other person's shoes. So there's quite a process that education is taking a huge swing into the restorative type of resolutions for students. Definitely, if you're a parent and you think your child's being bullied, it needs to be brought to someone that can help you. Administrator, the principal, the counselor, I mean, even your teacher. If you're reaching out and I'm your advisory teacher, let me know, and I will know the steps to take and to get help for the student who's being bullied.
Yeah, and then Charisse, your thoughts?
Yes, at our level, we spend a lot of time at the beginning of the year talking to the students about what bullying is, because as a young child, sometimes they don't quite understand, is this bullying, is this not bullying? So we give examples and we show this is bullying, this is not bullying, so that they understand, and also how to speak up and advocate for yourself, even at a young age. And if that is not happening, then hopefully that child is telling an adult. We also teach the children how to advocate for their friends. If they see a friend who's being bullied, this is what, because sometimes on the playground or something, if someone's not watching directly at that child at that moment, then it can be overlooked. So we teach the children what bullying is, teach the children how to advocate for themselves, also teach them to talk to a trusting adult, whether it be a parent, a teacher, someone, and then whoever that adult is, I advise them to get on it right away. Get on it. At our building, we have a behavior specialist, and he deals with issues with students, and he has the time throughout the day to pull those students to the side, because sometimes in the classroom with a teacher, if you're teaching a lesson, you may not be able to deal with the entire issue at the moment. So our behavior specialist is awesome about being able to pull those students to the side, talk with them together to work a situation out, and then if parents need to be involved, they are contacted as well. And it's just a process of making sure that each child feels safe in the school, and they need to understand that that is their priority, to be safe in the school system, in the school building.
Definitely
So-
great points and great advice from all three of you ladies here. We want to get to another question now. Do you have school safety protocols in place? This could mean a lot of things. I'm assuming it might be if there is some incident on campus. Gosh, it's just a terrifying reality of our world these days. Katie, your thoughts?
Last year, our district went through ALICE training. So if there is a situation, the students, we practice different drills so that they could be prepared for different types of situations, and we do different drills throughout the year. So the kids are very aware and the parents are very aware of what's going on. Hopefully nothing ever happens, but again, they need to be ready in case something does happen. So we've gone through the ALICE training at Schoolcraft to be ready.
Good, good. And then at your school as well?
Also, we've been through training. It was actually just, we were in school today. It was our opening day for Battle Creek Public Schools, and that was the very first thing that we got was our emergency folder with everything that we needed to know.
The first thing?
Yes.
Wow.
The drill dates, what we need to be practicing with the kids and what we need to let them know. With the drills, we're really pushing the no cell phones. Like even when we're in lockdown, the kids are like, we're in lockdown, and causing panic when it's bringing things, unsafe situations. If there really is something going on, now we're setting other people in danger because they're trying to come into the building. So that's just something we're really trying to communicate with parents this year. Like if there is something going on in the building and there may be a threat, please don't try to communicate through cell phone. it's putting us in danger and yourself in danger.
That's a very
so,
good point.
yes, we do have we have a lot of safety procedures, fire drill, tornado, lockdown. I think lockdown's the biggest worry.
Exactly. I had earthquake drills. Anyway, for the younger ones.
So we have also had the Alice training last year. We had the Alice training,
All three of you.
and
That's awesome.
yes, and we also have robocalls, which kind of helps with the problem you were talking about, Courtney. Is that when there is an incident, whether it be something minor, usually it's something minor, then the Kalamazoo Public Schools will call each parent. It's a robocall, and it will let you know this is what happened at school today. The safety is important to our school district and things like that. So that lets the parents know, so that we don't have hundreds of cars driving up to the school to come get their students.
Right,
And we also have the drills, and they're scheduled throughout the year so every drill is pretty much the same day each year, so that it's throughout this whole school district, so that you don't miss a drill. This day is the fire drill day. This day is the lockdown drill. So
Very good.
we have those throughout the
Especially
year.
for the younger ones who may not understand or have as a deep a memory as the
Right.
older students.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you for that. And then we have another question here. Is there something that we should be telling our kids about their phone use in school? Oh, darn those phones. Right, the bane of every teacher's existence, possibly. I bet all the teens have phones, right?
Oh, yes, they do. I think it's just important for parents to let the students know that, yes, phones are important, but at the same time they should be used for educational purposes while they're at school.
Bingo.
A lot of times it's just a reminder that they need to put their phone away, and sometimes they don't even realize they're on their phone because they're just so connected to it.
Goodness, that's a worry.
So I think just reminding them that when a teacher says, cell phones need to be away, it's not because they're trying to take your phone away from you. It's because they want you to be engaged in learning. So phones are at school, but they're supposed to be there for academic purposes and tools. And we do use them sometimes. I know I use them for a review thing called Quizlet, or I'll use it for Kahoot, and the kids can use their phone. But again, to remind them, when you're at school, it's for academic purposes, and when your teacher says it's okay to use it. So
Good. And is it a problem for the middle schoolers
It
as
is.
well?
Not so much the parents, but the kids are wondering when we're asking them to put them away, how are my parents supposed to get a hold of me? They have no idea that how we did it in the olden days. I tell the kids, I say, we did not have a cell phone. They called the office. The office sent someone with a note.
Yep.
And then
Oh, how funny.
It's kind of a learn. They really are. They don't know how they would get in touch. So it's more about reassuring your children that if they needed to contact them or get a hold of them, they would still be able to do that.
That's very interesting because it still plays into the middle school years of my image of, they're still quite innocent though.
Yeah.
It's like these kids
I want my
want to
mom,
be
how
on
she can
social
hold me.
media.
Yeah.
They're like, my mom said, hey, she said, don't put it away. I need to contact you. That's so sweet. That's actually very
it is
touching.
very. But it's maybe something that needed to be communicated because I don't think parents realize that the students are so worried about how if something were to happen, how were their parents supposed to contact them?
I love that. And then do the young ones even have phones?
Well, not in my classroom. So I'm the lucky one in this
Sharice lays down
situation.
the law.
So we don't have cell phones in first grade. If there are elementary schools that do allow, I am not sure, but if they do, I know there's some classrooms that do have a pocket chart.
Okay.
And they would, and the students will put their phone in this little pocket chart and keep it so that they're not using it. So there's none that I know of, but as they get older, some of the even middle school and high school teachers that I've encountered in Kalamazoo, they try to use the pocket chart system.
Mine is called the phone hotel.
Yes.
Oh, that's cute. I like
And it's
that.
got a strip if they want to charge it. And
Oh, you have the cool one.
Yeah, you got a charging station.
The phone can take a rest.
Yes,
Charge.
yes. They love those chargers.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Well, ladies, we are ending on a very fun note here. Our final question is, what are you most excited about? So we're all very excited, I'm sure. And we'll start with Katie.
I think I'm just excited to get the school year underway, to see the kids again, to see how much they've grown over the summer, see what they're interested in to learn, and just really get the school year underway and just see what we can accomplish at Schoolcraft this year. So, yeah, I'm excited.
I love that. Positive
Yeah,
vibes.
I'm excited.
Yes, I can feel it. Sharice.
I'm excited to see my students on the first day of school. It's always a bittersweet because they don't. They're still a little shy and want to hold on to mom, and by the end of the day they're so excited, and just seeing them that first day with those backpacks and new school clothes. So and everything is so fresh and clean, and the hallways look beautiful, and it's just a nice time of the school year. In the beginning of the school year, everything is just so new and fresh, and meeting up with people you haven't seen all summer and
right.
collaborating with teachers and staff. So looking forward to the
That's
new beginnings.
so cool. Fresh start.
Yes.
New beginning,
Fresh
new
start.
school year. Courtney, most
Of
excited?
course, I'm excited to see the kids and the families, but I'm most excited to see the success of the 3 programs that are opening in Battle Creek. We have the For Next Generation Learning Communities at the high school. We have a STEM Innovation Center for middle school, and we also have the Fremont International Elementary School opening. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. this
We
year.
love that. Well, your
Check us out.
energy is contagious. I feel excited for the new school year. I wish you all the best of luck, and I think our parents learned so much from you. Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you.
And it doesn't stop here, right?
Just the
We've got these
beginning.
ladies here. We're going to take all of your knowledge and put it out there for our families to learn from you. So thank you so much for being a part of this Facebook
you.
Live. Thank you, audience, for as well for sharing some of your questions and comments and things like that. So I look forward to also go back and look at the comments as well. Here on Newschannel 3, our coverage of the Back to School continues. We have a special section of our website with all of the back to school things. We also have we're going to be launching a Dad's Back to School. So we have some dads in our station. They're going to share their excitement and some of the things that they are ready for. And then, of course, we have a lot of stories from our reporters and everything like that. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here. And please stay with Newschannel 3 on air and online for all of the back to school information that you need. Thank you. Take care.